Hello and welcome back to the podcast. It's fantastic to have you here. I'm super psyched. Today we're going to talk about how in the last year I was doing the math on this. I was like going through all my expenses and I realized I'd spent over $100,000 on courses, coaching, masterminds, networking. And of all that money, like I'm a big proponent of investing back into yourself. You know this. Like I think the number one investment any of us can make is into our skills because those pay compounding interest for the entirety of your life. And so I spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money on trying to sharpen my skills and become better, whether that's pre-existing skills or it's new ones. And so as I was going through this, I was thinking, okay, what were the most impactful coaches or lessons or masterminds? Like what was the most bang for my buck, best value that I've gotten? And I want to share that with you guys because hopefully it gives you something to think about where maybe in the next year you could be spending money, like where it would be a good investment. Number one is fitness and nutrition coaching. So about 4 months ago, I started working with this guy named Phil Daru, who was like the personal trainer for Dustin Poirier and all these other MMA athletes. And I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the last year and, you know, I'm getting older. I'm almost 40 now. And I want to be I set a goal for myself that I wanted to be in the best shape of my life when I hit 40. Like I want to be at my peak. I want to be fitter than I ever was in my 20s, which is a tall task. Cause if you know my backstory, I was a professional rock climber. So like physically I was operating at a pretty high level. Well, I decided I needed to get serious and attack this from all angles. So got really serious about my nutrition, my weightlifting, my jiu-jitsu, my conditioning, all of it. And so for the last 4 months, I've been going hard at this. And it has, I can easily say, been the best investment I've ever made in my life. Hands down. Truly. The fitness side of things is great. Lifting weights, doing heavy things, doing hard things, making yourself sweat, that's great. However, I've always had that part figured out. So that's, for most people, that's like where you need to start. Start moving your body, getting to the gym, lifting heavy things. Great. And you're going to see massive dividends just from that alone. But the thing that really paid the biggest for me was the nutrition side of things. Now, Phil just provided the macro plan. My girlfriend did all of the work. I eat 5 meals a day. She does all the meal prepping. She's a goddamn godsend. Like without her, none of this works. But I'm so thankful for it because I feel better right now than I ever have in my life by orders of magnitude. I sleep less, but I sleep better. I wake up refreshed. I wake up energized. I have high levels of energy throughout the day. They're consistent. There's no drop off. I feel mentally clear. I feel purpose driven and motivated in a way that I haven't felt in a very long time. And it's all stemming from just getting the nutrition really dialed in, eating clean, getting rid of the sugar, getting rid of the gluten, getting rid of the dairy, getting rid of all of the things that you don't realize the toll that they're taking on your body. So that's the number one investment that I would recommend is get your nutrition figured out. I know it's hard, but I can't even imagine. It's so night and day different how I feel now versus how I did just a couple of months ago. In that time period, I've dropped from 185 pounds down to about 168 pounds. So lost weight, feel great. It's awesome. All right. The second best investment that I made this year was in a YouTube coach. So I started working with Nikhil Pandey, who is Captain Sinbad, if you guys are familiar with his videos on YouTube. And I decided I wanted to get better at storytelling. I wanted to get better at video. I wanted to share my story in a more impactful way. But to do that, you know, I've always thought of myself as a good storyteller, but I'm good with the written word. I'm not necessarily good on a camera. I wanted to improve. And so I started working with Nikhil, and within 3 months, we had about 30,000 subscribers. We went from 0 to 30,000 subscribers. We had one video. Depending on when you're watching this, it might already be over 1 million views. It's right now at 800,000 and still just climbing, which is ridiculous numbers to me, guys. Like, it's bonkers. It's bonkers. But the most impactful thing is not the numbers. It's not the growth. That stuff doesn't actually, it doesn't matter. That's just vanity. The part that makes me so grateful for having worked with Nikhil is the comments, the feedback that I get from listeners like you reaching out who have seen the videos now, and they're like, that changed my paradigm. It changed my perspective. It made me see the game in a different way. It made me see my life in a different way. It made me feel not alone. It made me feel like I had a path. It gave me the tools necessary to move forward. That's the coolest part. And that's an investment. That's like an infinite return on the investment in just the coaching. So that's my number 2 investment. The third one is it's a twofer, because I think that one of the most valuable skills that anybody can acquire is the ability to communicate more effectively. And one of the best ways to do that is to learn how to write better. Now, I'm a writer. I've written a bunch of books, and so it shouldn't come as a surprise that like this is something I'm obsessed with. But I do think that becoming a more compelling writer, it makes you a better thinker, and it makes you more influential just in life in general. And I took a course this last year called Copywriting Course by Neville Madeira, I think is his last name. I can't remember it, but you can go to copywritingcourse.com. That's great. You don't necessarily even think that you need copywriting, but the ability to write influentially and persuasively, I think there's so many downstream benefits to it. I highly recommend it. Now, the twofer that I'm going to give you is I also got this little product. It was like $150, this little deck of cards called Storytelling Tactics by Pipdecks, Pipdecks. Go check them out. This is like, if you want to become a better storyteller, which I think you should want that, because story is how we communicate with the world. It's how, we connect with other people, and it's how we move mountains. And so your ability to tell a really good story is like, it's everything. And this is a really cool little resource of cards that you can pull out, and each are thematically different. And then they have instructions on like how to formulate your story, and then to tie them together like links in a chain. It's just a really fun technique. And, I felt like a pretty competent storyteller before, but this is it's a fun way to take the skill and continue honing it and becoming better, because I think there's always room for improvement, even amongst a skill that you consider to be like a master at. So those are the skills, or those are the courses, the coaching, the things that I found really valuable in this last year. I'm curious to hear from you guys though. Like, as I'm looking next year, like, it's not just a one-time investment, it's continually like, how do I keep pouring back into myself to continually get better? I'd love to hear from you, get some feedback on like, what are the coaches, the courses, masterminds, or whatever that you've personally invested in that have had like the biggest bang for your buck on your life? Let me know what that is. Reach out, share on social media. Let me know, because I want to, I'd love to maybe even explore them and see how they work for me. So take the social media, do that. And as always, guys, like, I appreciate you being here. It's always rad. So keep being great, and I'll see you in the next episode.